Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com, and I'm back with episode 3 of our photo light magic with Speedlite softboxes. Today we're shooting some potted miniature roses with the Olympus EPL-5 and the Panasonic 20mm f1.7 lens. Using the same setup we've been using in the last couple of episodes. We're in my living room. Here's a shot here. You can see the roses on the table. We're using the big coffee table. I've got a reflector off to the left, and the Speedlite softbox and the Nikon SB26 are going to be on the right here to start. This is an ambient light shot, no flash, just to give you an idea of the situation of what we're shooting in. And here we've got an ambient light shot focused right in on the roses. This is at ISO 1600 with the Panasonic 20mm f1.7 at 1/40th of a second. This next shot is again with the same lens, ISO 800 at f1.8 and 1/60th of a second, and one more here at f1.8 at 1/60th of a second, just to give you a feel for what type of lighting you can get from the ambient here, and what type of photo we can do with the ambient light available without any flash. Now we're going to bring in the Speedlite softbox, and the reflector is in place on the left side as well. So basically what we've got here is I'm starting to dial in my lighting. I wanted to show you in this series of shots how I start out. I take a guess usually at where I want to be. This is at ISO 200. This is at f5.6 at 1/100th of a second. And as you can see, it's a little too hot. So I dial up the aperture to f6.3 and still at ISO 200, 1/100th of a second. And you can see it's getting better, but still a little too hot still. Now we're at f7.1, all else being the same, and getting into the range of where we want to be. Still a little too hot for my liking. And now we're at f8, and you can see we're starting to get somewhere. We're starting to get the light dialed into where we want to have it here. Here's f9, just to show you where we were going with that. And this is starting to get right where I think where we're going to work with here. And here's f10 to show you by comparison. And this is somewhere between f9 and f10 is where I think we need to be at. A lot of times this is a personal judgment call too. It's subjective. You're the artist. You're the one with the camera. Which one do you like? I tend to lean more towards this one here, the f10 shot. I like the light at this level. And here we have another one at f10 just to show you. And this is with the Speedlite softbox brought down a little and shot more directly on the potted miniature roses. So you can see a little bit more light is reflecting off the foil wrap on the bottom. Now, this is a good example of, with the EPL-5, sometimes I'm not sure exactly with the monitor on the back. It's I find it not always to be an accurate representation of what I'm getting in camera. So this is at f14, and I thought I did need to stop it down more from looking at the back of the camera and from trying to judge my histogram. But in actuality, this is a little dark. Some people might like this, thinking it's more, you know, an artistic look and with the dim lighting. But what I did was I pulled it up +1 on exposure in Lightroom, and +10 on the whites, using Lightroom 4.3, I think it is, the latest Lightroom. And this is where I think that the exposure is right for this here. So basically a lot of these then I've shot at f14 because that's what looked right on the back of the camera. And we're going to be doing some corrections on some of these just to bring them up. Again, here we have straight out of camera at f14 and ISO 200, 1/100th of a second. A little dim. I pulled it up +1 on exposure and +19 in shadows in Lightroom, and I think that looks pretty good right there. You'll notice too that at f14 here, we certainly have a solid black background, and that's just from knocking out all the ambient light due to the exposure settings, basically the f14 aperture. Next one here, again, we're at f14. This is out of camera, a little bit dim, so I pulled it up in this next one. It shows you we're at +1 and +19 on shadows, and this looks pretty good here. Again, straight out of camera, looking a little dim. We're still at f14. Pulled it up +1 and +19 in shadows. +1 exposure, +19 in shadows, and I think this looks pretty good. Again, f14, straight out of camera. Pulled it up +1 in exposure and +19 in shadows here. Now this one is still at f14, and in moving the light a little bit, we're fine straight out of camera with this lighting. This is an out of camera shot, no adjustments made in Lightroom here. Now, I did try it at 0.5 exposure boost on in Lightroom, and it's, I guess, a question of which you like better. I think I like it straight out of camera, but this isn't bad either. Here we've got straight out of camera, again at f14. The light's been moved a little bit. We got a little bit more down light, and we're shooting down on the roses here a little more. So this is quite acceptable straight out of camera. And here it is at 0.5 boost on exposure in Lightroom. And either one are nice. I think on this one I like the 0.5 boost here. This one is straight out of camera. We're at f16 now. Moved the light a little bit, and this is straight out of camera, no adjustments in Lightroom. And here's the same shot at 0.5 boost on exposure in Lightroom. And again, I like them both. It's a tough call on this one. Here we've got f16. This is a 0.5 exposure boost in Lightroom. And this looks pretty good. Again, look how dark the background is. We've knocked the ambient light right out, so we've got pure focus right on our roses, simply from using the Speedlite softbox to the right and a little bit of reflector fill on the left side. This shot here is straight out of camera, no adjustments. ISO 200, f16, 1/100th of a second, and again, same settings. And this shot here, straight out of camera, no adjustments. Again, f16, ISO 200, 1/100th of a second, no adjustments in Lightroom, straight out of camera. Now this shot is at ISO 200, f13, 1/100th of a second, and it does have a 0.5 exposure boost in Lightroom. And as you can see as well, I've cropped this into a square format. I quite like the way this shot turned out. And here we have ISO 200, f13, 1/100th of a second with no modifications to exposure there at all. This is straight out of camera, nothing done in Lightroom. And this shot is got a 0.5 boost on exposure in Lightroom, and this is shot at f14, ISO 200, 1/100th of a second. Now, just to change things up a little, I took some pink Bristol board, pink cardboard, and set the rose arrangement on that, and then propped it up in the background, so you have a gradual slope there, so kind of like a bit of a backdrop. And this was basically straight out of camera right here at f11, ISO 200, 1/100th of a second. A little bit of modifications done in Lightroom with the painting brush, I believe I did on this one. I'll just double check here. And yeah, I've got a little bit of exposure right on the flowers. I boosted them a bit in Lightroom. This one, again, f11, ISO 200, 1/100th of a second. This has a 0.5 exposure boost in Lightroom, and also a little bit of exposure boost with the manipulation brush in Lightroom, just on the flowers themselves. And I thought it looked pretty cool. And then just to show you, here's the setup that we were just doing there with the pink. So there you can see the pink cardboard, pink Bristol board that the flowers are sitting on, the reflector at the left, softbox coming down from a higher position, angled down, and to the right of the plants. And just to give you another little setup of how this was done, there's the table, there's the plants on the pink Bristol board or pink cardboard, whatever you want to call it, on the table there, and that's how we did that shot. So that gives you some more ideas of what you can do with a single Speedlite softbox. That's an older Nikon SB26 fired into a Speedlite softbox, and for most of these shots, as you saw earlier, we did use the reflector to the left. And pretty much all these shots were shot with the Speedlite softbox coming in from the right. So, I didn't really move it around to the left at all. I just changed the height and a little bit of the angling, leaving the reflector on the left. So If you're interested in the Speedlite softboxes, we do have them available here at Art of the Image. Really nice, high-quality Speedlite softboxes. You'll see the link below in the video information where you can order them from, and it'll take you to the Art of the Image page, and you can see a lot of photos of the actual softbox as well as a video of me demonstrating how easy they are to set up and take down. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon with some more in this series of Speedlite softbox lighting, and stay tuned as well. We'll be back with more articles, more videos on what's going on in the world of photography. We'll keep you up to date with that. And thanks for tuning in.